Backdrop, I don't care.
Bump her out. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
CNC
Oh,
brothers and sisters. I'm Garrett with IDC Woodcraft, and
I'm Kate with Women Who CNC and Rise and Shine Wood Signs. Welcome
uh,
tonight. How is everybody? I see there's a lot of people popping on. I see we have 9 questions on the docket already this morning. My goodness, y'all are on it tonight. I
Julian
love
is
it.
all over it. Julian's all over it. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. In the background, we have Julian, who is keeping Kate and I square and center. So yeah, as we grow and get better at this, we get more organized. Uh,
Yeah.
Kate was saying earlier. Oh, by the way, we're on our Wednesday night CNC Hangout where we chew the fat and answer questions. We do a little bit of both, and we're trying better to get to the questions, but we don't ever want to lose the personality behind this whole thing. Right?
Yeah.
This is where we all kind of get together and do our stuff. So, Kate, why don't you start saying hello to some awesome creators that come and say hello to us.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we've said hey to everybody because we've had some pretty big hitters on lately. We had Mark Lindsay on. We had Nate Woods, which was awesome. We talked a lot of epoxy. And so we just kind of did like a blanket hello. So it's nice to kind of get back to our regular folks. I see Tim Nudd was on. Hey, friend. We've got Doug E. Welcome back, brother. Looks like we've got John K., Oz, Raven. We've got Madra, which is Ellen. She's one of my moderators in my women's Facebook group. So, hey, girl. Oh, let's see. We've got JB Daniels, Travis Dunn, Jack in the shop. Hey, brother, how you doing tonight? Oh, let's see. Who else we got? We got Sam Campbell. Looks like Bobby. Let's see. We just got lots of good chats. Carolyn's on here. Hey, sister, how you doing?
Hi, Carolyn.
Yeah, we've got Benny. I think everybody, I'm seeing a lot in the comments. Everybody's commenting on the weather to see what kind of weather everybody's having because I think it varies from like snow to like fall, but cold fall. Oh my goodness, craziness. We've got Billy McGee back. Oh man, looks like
I
we've
was
got yeah.
talking to my accountability partner. I have an accountability partner I talk to every day, and she lives in Maryland, and she woke up to snow today.
Very nice. That's
Yeah.
I picked up my daughter from her friend's house late last night and it was snowing on the way home. It wasn't like enough to accumulate, but it was definitely like snowing. I was like, it's November 31st. I'm not ready for snow. I'm just not.
Right.
So here in Indiana, we like to call that false winter. And then we'll have fall, but it'll actually be false fall because it'll be freezing enough to be really cold. And then we may have a false summer or like a false summer that'll sneak in there where we'll have like a couple 80-degree days. And then it'll go back to snow the next day. So just try to keep up. Okay. Just try to keep up.
Yeah, really. And
Oh,
you
gosh.
live in the flatlands of Indiana. I'm down here in the valley by the Ohio River, so you're getting the winds that are just blowing across.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I know. I'm so, so thankful. My son and daughters have had their last soccer games last weekend. Praise God, because I was not enjoying sitting in the rain. It was sprinkling. It was windy. It was cold. I was just like, this is bullshit.
Of course, I got to tell you, I have people in my entrepreneurs group who are in Canada, and when they
So they
hear us
have
talking
no
about this,
sympathy for us.
yeah, they have no sympathy whatsoever. They're saying, "What are you talking about? This is sunbathing weather."
Yeah, absolutely. Where's Chris? Where's Chris from Australia? We need to pick on
Yeah,
him a little bit and see what their weather's doing. He's probably sitting on the beach having a beer or something.
yeah, I hear you. Okay, well, creators, before we dive in, I got a couple of things I want to share. I am in touch with a couple of companies now, IDC. I am always looking for things that will help you as a creator. And as a IDC Woodcraft has quite a few subscribers on the channel, which when there's lots of numbers, people pay attention, right? So we are a collective. And so I've got a couple things that I have in the works right now that is going to be a bit of a game changer for quite a few of us. So
All
I'm going
right.
to kind of leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. I got contacted by another company today that has a very, 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 very interesting product that when I looked at it, I said, oh, I've got to take a look at this puppy. I got to take a look at it. And so we'll be talking to them here in the next few days as well. So,
Okay.
yep. Yep. The Badger, that new bit that I am working on and doing testing on, has passed my tests. That about another month is going to be coming out. CNC Insiders, those on the email list, the CNC Insiders list, get a 15% discount whenever I release a new bit. All right, that's not made to the public. I'm telling you publicly so you can get on the CNC Insiders list if you want access to that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
Go
anyway,
sign up.
yeah. I've linked it. I've linked it in the descriptions. And Kate,
There you go.
tell them about Women Who CNC and what's coming down the pike for you and your girls.
Oh man. All right. So we've got kind of a cool little thing happening over on the website. I'm actually getting ready to release a it's actually a live interactive map where you'll be able to type in all of your business information, and it will be able to put you and your business, depending on what information you want to provide, to the general public about your business, and it will actually put you on the map. And so then that way other people, anybody really that's looking for a CNC or in your general area can just hop onto our womenwhocnc.com website, and you will be able to find another local small business. Maybe you need somebody like I do. Like you guys know, I'm building Garrett's epoxy river table, and I don't have a CNC big enough to flatten the entire thing. So this would have been like a really cool resource for me to pop on there, go find somebody close to me that maybe has a CNC of my size or businesses near me. So it'll be a really cool place for a lot of small businesses to kind of pop on there and just really, it's basically like free promotion for your business and help small businesses grow, because we all can benefit from that. The other thing I'm working on is big news for me is I'm actually working on a project manual, which is really exciting. Project manual, it's going to have like step-by-step instructions for building like river tables. It's going to have interactive links. It's going to be a workbook. It's really cool. I've got a lot of time invested into it so far. It's not anywhere near where I want it to be, so don't think it's going to be out next week or something like that. But I'm really, really excited to put something out there for you guys, because I know a lot of new makers don't even know where to start, what projects to start with, what products to buy, what you need for finishing, all the bells and whistles. I'm putting it into a project book / manual. So I'm very, very excited to put that together for you guys.
Yeah. And so I mean, that kind of reminds me to mention something. A few weeks ago, I had the ads turned on for our live stream, and so ads were popping in the middle of the live stream, and I didn't realize, number one, that YouTube actually did that, right? But there was a comment in there that said, well, now Garrett's just out to make money, and that pissed me off a bit, right? Because most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes here. This time right now with me and Kate sitting here, this is break time. This is literally break time, right? We are able to sit down, share time with you. The rest of the time is spent working those wheels. How can we add value to you and what have you? Right. So it was purely a mistake on my part. Yes, I do want to make money, just like you should want to make money, right? Money makes the world go round. That's why we have CNC businesses and whatnot. And I can tell you something. This comes from a business mindset. And Kate, you and I have talked about this. You get this now. That if we look at people and say, oh, they're just out for the money, that is a reflection of our attitude about money. And it also reflects our financial standing, if you will. It is a statement that in other words says, I don't handle money very well. It's kind of it's a projection. This is business advice, right? It's
Yeah.
a projection of what's within us. Our words reflect who we are inside, right? So we should always, always, always check our words. When Kate and I are on the phone and she says something, I'll say, what? Did I hear the word try? Right? So, yeah, yeah, a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I put out a lot of content, and in one, we don't always just know. How does someone say it? None of us know enough to be a pessimist. We truly don't,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And considering all the effort that has been put out, to create the content for you guys, to do things like
Yeah.
this this sheet, to the rule of thirds sheet of how to chuck your CNC router bit, which I will be sending out to the CNC insiders list, and I will also get that available to other people. The setup checklist, right here.
Yep.
Your CNC router setup checklist, so you don't wreck projects because you missed a step, right? This is
Yeah.
all. So sometimes we maybe get ahead. I mean, we're all guilty of it at times, but
Yeah.
sometimes we just
But
get ahead of ourselves. And go ahead.
I just want to spin this just a little bit into a really positive note. I cannot tell you the amount of people that I've come in contact with, and in me knowing you, and they know that I know you, they have said to me, you have no idea the effect that Garrett has had on me in my journey. He has made such a difference for me. So it's like, those 10 attaboys and that one, slap on the wrist.
Right.
It's like you've just got to kind of keep churning. You've got to keep chucking along. I get a lot of that same stuff. Oh, you have no business, excluding men and creating women who see and see. And you know what? I ain't worried about
Right.
you. We've talked
Hey,
about this, times
yeah,
before, but
I think you're
we're just doing
coaching
what we're
me,
doing
Kate.
here.
Yeah, I think
Huh?
you're coaching me. I said, I think you're coaching me.
Have I arrived? Am I finally at the train station? I can finally get off the train.
You're getting it. You're getting it. All right. All
I'm at
right.
least
Well, we
hanging
got
out the window right now.
right. Right. Yeah. No, you're definitely coming a long way. You've definitely stepped over those hoops, but we're not immune. None of us are ever immune. But it's always one
No.
of those things to take a look back at ourselves and say, it just
Yeah.
reminds me, right? I mean, I think I shared this before, right? Back in 2018, I put a pistol to my head. The
Yeah.
only thing that stopped me wasn't my family, it wasn't my grandkids. I didn't love me, but I cared about my daughter, right? And my daughter popped in my head, and I said, "That's not a legacy I want to leave for her, right?
No.
That's not. I don't want her to sit there and have those questions. What did I have something to do with it? Why didn't he tell me, kind of stuff, right? And at that point, I had to find some purpose, right? That was my mission. That's what I do now. This is my purpose. My brothers and sisters, this is my purpose, helping you become better creators. And with
Yep.
that, we've got questions out in the wings that we need to start answering.
Yeah. Let's start knocking some of them out here. So, you want to pull the first one up, or just want to jump in?
Sure. Go ahead. I was just reading a comment there on the side.
All right. So let's see. We've got question. Besides epoxy, what other methods do you use to colorize your CNC projects? If painting, brush, or air, using Aura Mask, of course. Let's see. So obviously, I do a lot of finishing with my projects. I personally really like acrylic paints. When I'm doing any type of work with like birchwood with Aura Mask, I usually tend to stick with more of a chalk paint, just because it goes on a little bit thinner and it's not so globby. And when you're working with um, acrylic paint, it tends to be really thick. And then when you put it on the Aura Mask, it can tend to almost create like a lip. And so chalk paint tends to go on really smooth, and you can put it on in layers. And then that way, when you go to peel that Aura Mask off, it's just a lot cleaner, crisper line. So that's something that I like to use. I also will use like an airbrush. I think I bought it at like Harbor Freight. and I just water down my paint and I'll put it on there. But I usually will use an airbrush if I'm trying to get a lot of detail. I'm going to be really honest, it's not something I do a lot of, just because it takes an enormous amount of time, and then you have cleaning, and it's just, it's a lot of extra work. So that's my short answer to a very complicated question. So
Yeah, I'd say so.
let's see.
Oh, by the way, when you ask a question, it'll help us out a great deal if you put the word question in front of your question. And if you
Yes.
capitalize it, it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like Raven did. That's it.
Yeah,
Good
nice
question.
and bold, catches our eye. All right, how do you hold down your work when the board has a twist or bend? CA glue will not, but clamps will not work, but clamps work all the time. You can use brad nails. One, personally, if there's a bend or a twist in it, I try to like just not use that a ton. If it's really bad, I'll run it through the planer, run it through the joiner, try to like, get as much of what I can out of it. If not, I'll use like CA glue, and I'll put quite a bit of it down in the middle. Then you can use brad nails around it. It depends on like what you're carving to. If you're carving profile cuts, you can always like, tack down the board in the middle with some brad nails. That might help a little bit too. If nothing else, surface it. Surface one side of it, flip it over, CA glue, and put that side down, and then surface that side again. I mean, this is something we all struggle with. I totally get it.
Yeah. Of course, if it's got a twist, it's kind of hard to hold it down to surface it. You've got to surface the one side. I've used two tricks. One is if the warp isn't too bad, I'll use the CA glue method, but I will take a bundle of CA glue and roll it. So and then I'll glue that to the tape, the painter's tape on the table, and then I'll put my bead down, or I may do it in multiple spots, but if it's just one small warp, right? And then I'll glue the board on top of that one little shimmed area. Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing I'll do is actually make wedges, or you can buy the wedges from the hardware store that you would put behind drywall, and do the same thing. CA glue the wedge down once you've got your board fitted, and then you'll put tape over the wedge, and then you'll CA glue that area. And you may have to do it in multiple points. One of the things though, when you're losing contact surface like that because of the warp, you always want to surface first, and make sure you do light surfaces. You're taking off very thin amounts, so you're not putting a lot of work against something that's not holding as well.
I agree. Yeah, the wedges technique is it's a great idea.
Yep. There's one other technique that you can think about is so Jack in the shop and I have been talking about some clamps, but I have not worked on that too much yet. But Jack has the go-to clamps, right? And so they are wedge clamps that come in like that. So you can actually wedge the board against the stop that way at a very shallow angle, so it draws it down and pushes it in at the same time. So message Jack in the shop. Maybe he can send you a few, right? But it requires drilling into your spoil board, so you have pinholes to drop these clamps in. Ever since, I think they're sitting over there. Julian and Liberty straightened up my shop for me, and they put everything as best they could. But I'll get them while you handle the next question.
All right, let's see. So, hey, Michael. Michael, I just want to say I commented on your post when you finished the church that you did with the stained glass windows. Wow. I had to stop and show my husband. Those are absolutely spectacular. If you guys have not followed Michael on his YouTube channel, this man is an absolute artist. You need to go check out his work. CNC work, artistry in general, absolutely just praises for you, sir.
Mike is the god when it comes to the 3D modeling and Aspire. Michael has he's been a beta tester for Vectric Okay, so he's been intimate with the software for a very long time, and so I know he had to step aside for a while. He had some other priorities, but
Yeah. All right, let's see. He says, greetings to Garrett and Kate. A quick question. Garrett, it's been a year or so since you got your laser. Any update/review? I'm looking to
there's
get
no,
one that will cut 1/8" ply. Thanks.
yeah, there's a laser, and Mike, I did not have anything really to report on that. I have literally have done very, very little with the laser, so that's on the agenda for early next year.
Or I'll
But
tell you what,
I
maybe
appreciate
I'll just
you.
come down and pick it up and take it off your hands for you for a little while, and I'll
I've had a
test it
couple
out.
of people. It's one of those things that it's almost like an heirloom. You know, it's like it's worthless, kinda, but you can't have it. I mean, it's
Gotcha.
worthless when it just sits there doing nothing.
Oh my
But
gosh, it's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So put on a little pressure, and in the meantime, brothers and sisters, answer Mike. Give him some guidance on the lasers of those of you who are getting good at the CO2 lasers. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the clamp right here that Jack in the shop has made, and
Okay.
this, okay, it's got pinholes there. Those pins will drop down into your spoil board, and then
Neat.
you rotate the screw, and that wedge drives in and down.
Okay.
Okay. So
Jack's always got
so
something cool.
oh, Jack's some he's amazing. He's thinking amazing. Anyway,
Like
so
to
Jack,
be a fly on the
there
wall.
we're drumming up some business for you.
There you go.
These will be your go-to clamps. They're his go-to clamps now.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
one thing that's really important is those holes have to be drilled precise as far as their locations, and they have to be precise in the hole itself. You can't drill it with a something that's going to drill a hole larger than a 1/4 inch. It has to be dead nuts on. The
Wow.
lightning bit, the 1/4 inch lightning bit from IDC Woodcraft does it. Okay, anyway, let's roll on.
All right. So we've got a great question here from Alfredo. He says, I'm new in CNC. Well, welcome to the club.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to an amazing creative space where you're going to run into a ton of brothers and sisters.
You got it. He says, I want to learn and master photo carving. Please, any advice?
That's whoops there. That's that she'll take care of that one.
So this is a little bit of more of a complex question than we can really get into here on the one-on-one. But Alfredo, if you want to send me an email, my information is below in the description below, but my email is womenwhocnc@gmail.com. You can send me a direct link, and I will help you with this a little bit. So, all right, let's see. Who do we have up next here?
Oh, before you do that,
Yeah.
so most of you have been have dealt with me. You know that every quarter I contribute to St. Jude. Right. This year, so far, IDC Woodcraft has donated $15,000 to St. Jude. I have not processed for Q3, which ended the last month, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to be working on that this month, but I believe we are going to be able to kick out between $6,000 and $8,000 to St. Jude. And this is all so whenever you're supporting IDC Woodcraft, you're supporting St. Jude. And I am seriously thinking of starting something. I talked to my mentor about this, a little thing, carving for kids with cancer, right? Doing a little community thing where we can create projects for kids at St. Jude. But I have to talk to St. Jude about that first. They have emailed me apparently, so I need to talk to them. So anyway, if it sounds like a good idea, yeah. If it sounds like a good idea, let's do this in the comments.
Yeah, I think that is an incredible opportunity for so many people to give back, because so many of us want to give back. We want to help. We want to do and participate. I think that those kids that are going through so much, they just, kids should just be exempt from anything like that. That's how I feel. I just don't feel like it's ever fair for kids
That was
to be
Julian, by
sick.
the way.
Hi.
Yeah.
So it looks like yeah, we're getting lots of good lots and lots of good feedback. So yeah.
Some of the money this quarter, I promised my daughter, was going to be contributed to something called Missing Alexis, and that is an organization for parents who have lost their children. My daughter, her third child died in her arms, right, and so she's part of this organization, and so she asked me to contribute to that.
That's just,
Yeah.
I that's that is just not something anyone should ever
No.
have to go through.
No.
Yeah. So I on a happy note, I feel like what you're doing is incredible, and you have been incredibly blessed to be able to do that, and that you are generous enough to give back to such an incredible foundation, and not only St. Jude, but also the Alexis group
Yeah.
that's helping parents out. So I think that's incredible. That's an awesome opportunity. Okay, let's get back onto questions before I wind up teary-eyed and kind of a
Yeah,
hot mess over here. All right, so let's see. We've got a good question here from Bobby. It says, question, where is the best place to go to learn about all the different bits and what they are used for? So this is an excellent question. Bobby, I apologize. I am not sure by your name if you are a man or a woman, but if you are a woman, over in the Facebook group, I actually did a live event on almost all of Garrett's bits. I did a live where you can go into the events tab and watch that live training where I was like, this is good for this and this is good for this. But if you're not, Garrett, do you have a good resource that they could go to?
Yeah, I am actually starting to work on one, because that's actually a common question. I have not put together a structured manual. By the way, Mark Lindsay is in the mix. So Mark, if you know of another resource, but here's what I can tell you on the IDC Woodcraft, excuse me, on the IDC Woodcraft website, idcwoodcraft.com, if you go to the sets page and click the truly complete CNC router bit set for beginners, in there has a basic description for the basic router bits you need to start with. That's what's included in the set, like things like surfacing bits and whatnot. I am actually working on a book, a physical handheld handbook that's going to explain all this for you. I do have a video. It's an older video out there, and it is, I'm going to find it and link it. Julian, if you would please find the CNC router bits. Julian is in the background, so she's helping. Find on my channel CNC router bit video, and post the link to that in the chat. So, and that will give you an explanation of a lot of the different types of bits that are out there. Forgive me, it's an older video. It's about 2 years old. But I could seriously update that thing right now. But it'll get you started.
It'll get you started, and that's probably what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Just something to get started with.
So Julian will link that video in the description or in the comments. So watch for that to be popped up. And I'll post that. I'll link that in the description of this video after it's done.
Very good. All right, so up next we have a question from Sam. He is asking how to run multiple tools when engraving text using VCarve desktop program. when
I think
engraving
this is
text.
where you probably need to use clearance tools.
Well, but I don't, when you're engraving text, unless you're doing a pocket, there's no way to run multiple tool paths.
If he's doing a flat depth, it might be where you have multiple tools. So if you're doing flat depth and you got a big wide open space in the lettering, then you got to get that bottom cleared out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in a pocketing toolpath, if you're using a flat depth, yeah, you can do the clearance. But like on V-carve, I'm like 90% sure that's not an option. And on profiling, I don't think it is either. Let me.
So he's using VCarve desktop. So I'll just try to answer this best I understand it. Is that cool?
Yeah, go
Do
for
you
it.
have your permission? Okay, all right. So you see who wears the pants in this family. Okay. Let's see.
Gosh.
Okay,
Yeah,
where is vector from my? Well, it's not showing up, so I gotta
yeah. I was
relaunch.
actually just looking in Vectric, and it's only for the pocketing toolpath that you can run clearance toolpaths.
When you're doing the flat depth, Kate.
Yes, I know. Yes, when you're doing the flat depth.
Yeah, well, he's talking about a V carve, so I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, you
So,
can. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
She knows this. I just kind
I
of
was
what?
wrong.
Hey, come on.
I
Hey,
know.
that's what we do. That's she called me out earlier. I'll just call you back out here. All right, let me try
Hey,
to share my screen.
I've been training all day, okay? I've been doing some 3D modeling with lots of things today. My brain's like, bleh.
Okay. All right. So we got this welcome sign here. And for those of you who have purchased the starter set from IDC Woodcraft, the one I was just talking about, this is one of the files that you actually get with that. Although it's a little bit different on the swirl right there. But in the V carve, which is right up, it's the second row, first icon. It's got a little V on the piece of wood. When you select that, there, my screen's probably flashing for you. I apologize. They have the tool that you select to run it, but down in this white box here, if you need to use other tools to clear out a large area of a V carve, and you're set up on flat depth, which is up on top, then this white box is where you populate other router bits into that, and that will create multiple tool paths that will run your clearance tools, and then the final tool path will be the V carving. So however many tools or router bits you have populated in this white box, VCarve will write a tool path for it so long as the tool can fit in the cut area. If the tool is too big, it says I can't even write a tool path for it, and I won't write it for that particular bit. So hopefully I explained that well enough.
Yeah. That was actually I think that's a great video on pocketing, because I actually had a student today that did not know, like he was just running the 1/4 inch end mill and then running a separate tool path as the 1/8 inch end mill. And I was explaining to him that, when you run that 1/4 inch end mill, it clears it out, and then the 1/8 inch end mill as a clearance tool comes in behind it, and it actually comes down and matches that same depth and then clears out what's left behind. So then that way that secondary tool isn't coming in behind it, starting up here and trying to work like basically cutting air. That's what that clearance tool path is used for. And it was like a huge light bulb. He's like, I've been doing every project like that. I can't believe I didn't know that. So I was, happy to share that little tidbit. I think a lot of people don't know about that. So it's a really good, it's a great little feature.
Yeah. The other thing is, if that white box is grayed out, then there's a little check box right above it that you have to turn it on.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at our generous donor here, Billy McGee. He
Billy.
says $20.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yes. That's that's one way people say thank you. They contribute a little bit to the cause, right? And thank you, Billy. Yeah, for those who don't know how he did that, if you're on YouTube, then right below the video on the IDC Woodcraft channel, there's a little money icon or something like that, where you can donate, contribute, to say thank you for us taking some time out of our day to work with you and try to answer your questions.
Yeah. So thank you again for that.
Yes.
All right.
Very
So we
much.
have a very good question here from Howard. Can the Next Wave Shark 520 be tram adjusted? I have watched your video. I think this one's for you. I don't know much about the Shark.
Okay. Most machine, I mean, I've seen it. I've had my hands on it when I was at the AWFS show. And by the way, I'm releasing a video tomorrow, an interview with Legacy CNC,
Okay.
another pro, like a pro level machine. It's kind of an interesting. You can watch the video. It'll come out tomorrow. It's an interview with them. But anyway, for the Shark, most CNC machines, the spindle or the router is bolted to a frame, which is your carriage, right? The carriage is what carries the Z-axis back and forth. And you can loosen up those bolts and make your side-to-side adjustment. What most CNC routers, the way they're built, getting the tram adjustment, if this is the gantry and the router sitting like that, yeah, to get the back and forth tram adjustment, unfortunately, usually requires putting some shims in behind the upper or the lower, behind the plate that's holding the spindle in place. So look for the bolts that are holding the plate in place on your carriage. Loosen them up a little bit, and then you can tram that way. Now I'm gonna get something.
While he's getting that,
the cheesiest hillbilly tramming tool on the planet is this, and it works so stinking well. It's a piece of wood with a dull router bit sticking out right there, and a dull router bit sticking out right there. I'll chuck it up in the router right here, and you spin it around, and within 2 feet, I can get this thing trammed in over a 2-foot area. All right, so make yourself some cheesy thing like this, and you'll be able to tram that thing so close.
you guys, he's cracking me up over here. I'm sorry. Can you tell I'm so tired tonight? I don't know what is going on with me. It's like my eyes, like I'm just like, open your eyeballs. They're like stuck tonight. I'm so tired. I don't know why. I think it's just the weather change. I just feel like I could just like go to sleep. All right, let's see here. All right, so we've got another good question here from David. Sorry, it took me a second there. Pocketing a large shallow area, 12 by 24 at 0.062. Which bit is most appropriate? Beast, surfacing bit, or standard 1/4 inch end mill? Any reason not to use a surfacing bit? Well, I can't say why not to use the surfacing bit. I mean, here's would be my balance. What are you trying to pocket out? Are you pocketing out a really hardwood? Are you pocketing out some softwood where the bit's not going to take a ton of a beating? You know, I don't know. A lot of people questioned me when I did a video, but I was carving at, I think it was like 3/4 of an inch to an inch deep in some maple. A lot of people were like, why wouldn't you use a surfacing bit? Why wouldn't you use a bowl bit? And I wound up using the beast bit. I could have easily switched up and kind of did any of them, but really I just wanted to let the tool path go because it was only going to take about 19 minutes. And I used the beast. Personally, if it were going to be me, if I'm using a softwood, I would do the surfacing bit. If I'm using a hardwood, I'd probably use the beast just because I don't like the wear and tear on my surfacing bits. I like those to stay like super sharp. That's me though.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I wasn't thinking about that. The Beast, by the way, for those who are, don't know, it's a router bit that IDC Woodcraft has put out. It's meant to just hog out a ton of material really, really fast to save your run time and spare your clean cutting bits. So my answer to that question is I don't see why you wouldn't want to use the surfacing bit on that. There's two things that I would say with that. If you are surfacing a pocket and you got corners, you're going to have to come back in with you're going to have to do a tool change to get a smaller bit to make sure you get your tight corners. The
Yep,
other thing is with the surfacing bit, it does not have cutting edges on the inside, right? In the middle. So you'll have to ramp into the project. And when you ramp with the surfacing bit, you always want to ramp at least 3 times the length of the surfacing bit, but you have to take into account. I mean, I would go 5 times the length of the surfacing bit. In this shallow, but I'd probably go 2 times the length of the surfacing bit.
Yeah. All right. So I hope that answered your question for you. Next up is Tim. He says, is it possible to get a text file to work in Vectric Desktop? I do not know the answer to this. I've, like a text file, like we would pull in, like we would open up and look at G-code in. I've never tried to get it to pull into Vectric. Maybe you have like a file where you typed out a whole bunch of like a letter or something, or like a saying, and it's got a bunch of stuff and you're just trying to like transfer it in.
So you as far as I know, you can't bring a text file in. Mark or Michael, if you guys would answer that, just to confirm that. But what you can do, I think, is bring a PDF in. I don't know how it'll take the text. I've never tried that. Yeah, I know that you can import a PDF, but I don't know if it'll take in the text on a PDF. I don't know. Give it a whirl. What the hell? Let's just see. I'm going to do it right now.
Like, what would be the point of bringing in a PDF? Like, I'm just purely curious. Like,
well, sometimes I've seen PDFs that when I purchase vector files, right, they've come as just a PDF. Right. And so, okay, well, let's try to import it. And
okay.
Yeah. And I've been able to import it. So I'm trying right now just to see. But
interesting.
Don't wait for me. Okay. I have no idea what I'm putting in, but oh my. It works. Do it with a PDF. Okay. I'm gonna show you real quick. So we're gonna learn something here. Let me undo that. I'm going to undo it. Control Z. Whenever you want to undo something, just hit Control Z. And
famous last words.
Yeah, famous last words. Okay, let's bring that welcome sign back in. I said before, this is the sign. This is a project you get with that starter set. You get 7 different projects with the starter set, and I've made instructions for each one of them. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so go to File, Import Vectors. And so what the software is doing is it's listing down at the bottom all the file types that it can import. All right, so you can click that and see everything that it recognizes.
Yep.
And it's not showing. There's PDF right there. So it can bring in DXF, DWG, EPS, AI, looks like a C, PDF, PVC, V3D, V3M. There's a whole list of them. But here's a PDF. So I'm going to just import this one, whatever it is. And there it is. There's the PDF.
Well,
it even brought the image in on the PDF.
And it pulls it in as vectors.
It's all vectors. And if I come in, I hit, let's take a look at the nodes. So it's bringing them in as
pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's not messy.
All right, look at you.
Yeah, look at me go.
Tim. All right, Tim, thanks for bringing that up, brother. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love that. That is fantastic. I'm not going to lie. Because you know what? I actually have a really long like quote. My brother-in-law wanted me to carve for him, and I'm not kidding you. It's like a full like page quote. And he's like, "Can you carve this in a sign for my brother for Christmas?" And I was like, "Do you know how long it's going to take me to get all the spacing and everything in the words right?"
That.
You know how
So
we
here's
just
what you can do.
do those
If you've
projects for our
got that,
bud.
yeah. Sorry, Kate, I just stepped all over you. If you've got grandma's recipe you want to carve, scan it with PDF. Right, you can put Adobe right on your phone, and it scans for free. And you scan it, send it to yourself, and then import it, and there you got your vectors all set up.
Dude, so cool. Just learned something
Damn,
new.
good.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, very cool, Tim. Thank you for bringing that up for us. All
Yes.
right, let me hide that comment. And Gary, you are up next. He
What's up,
says
Gary?
zeroing Z from the spoil board or top of material ramifications. This is an excellent question. I'm going to give my quick and dirty answer. Zeroing from the spoil board is, I normally have done that when I am doing profile cuts. It just tends to cut cleaner, especially when you're doing a cutout. You're not going to cut into your spoil board as much. I personally, when I'm doing any other type of carving or anything else, I always go off the top of the material. Ramifications, sometimes, we all usually do it when you're doing a profile cut. If you have not surfaced your material and you do a profile cutout and you cut all the way through, say it's 3/4 of an inch, sometimes you'll do like 0.76 or 0.77 just to make sure it cuts through, and then you'll have a little bit of a line in the bottom of your workpiece. So that's what I do. But Garrett, what do you got?
Well, that's why one of the things that's even covered on this checklist. All right. So, and I'll explain. So, first of all, let's answer the question. He emailed me or earlier or messaged me, and I said,
Okay.
it was emailed, and I said, if he wanted us to address this tonight, and I said, just make sure you ask the question. We'll get to it. So, one of the things is, what like Kate said, when you're doing a profile cut, in other words, cutting out a project, you set the cutout tool path. You can set off your spoil board, and like she said, it'll prevent you from cutting into the spoil board. All right, and so it's good practice to take your cutout tool path and set it off the spoil board. As far as the stuff on the top, you can change that to the top of the spoil board. So, but that requires you to do two toolpath generations in the Vectric software. You have to first set that to the top and generate the toolpaths for everything off the top of the material if you're carving everything, and then change your Z surfacing from, or your Z start point to the bottom. Now, yeah, what I would say, and what this checklist does, and by the way, in order to get the checklist, CNC insiders have this now. They all have this. But if you want it on the website, there will be a pop-up, and then on the pop-up, you can get it from there. Okay, so one of the things you almost always want to do is surface your project before you start your carve. Once you got it clamped down, surface it. Right? You just because milled lumber from the stores like that, and it's they say it's like that thick, and it actually comes that thick, right? It's never consistent to what it says. It's not exact. Resurface it and then generate your tool path, or then set your thickness in your software, and then generate all your tool paths. Right? You surface it, then you measure the thickness, and then you generate your G code, and that's just part of the checklist. I don't know why I'm holding it up. Then you can just zero off the top or bottom. It doesn't matter, and you do everything all at once. I don't know if I explained that right, but
It's clear as mud. We got it
okay,
though.
clear as mud. When you clamp your project down or CA glue it down, surface the project, very thin surface, so you know it's all parallel to to
Yes.
your machine. Otherwise, if you're doing fine V carves, it's going to come out messed up because it's like that, right? The board,
Yes.
that's exaggerated, but
Yeah. And when
um,
we say fine surfacing, like think about like what you're taking off your spoil board when you're surfacing your spoil board. So like um 0.02 to like 0.04, like 0.04 would be quite a bit, but it really
that would be
depends. A little trick you can do if you're surfacing boards, take a pen or a pencil, like doodle on the top of it, and then run your surfacing bit, and if you've missed a spot, then you know you had a high point or a low point, and then you can go back and rerun the toolpath again. So all
yeah,
kinds of little things to consider. But
yeah,
Gary, I hope that helps you
yeah,
understand the difference.
yeah. So when I'll finish here. When you finish surfacing
Yeah.
it, then you measure the thickness of your project. Go back into your software, set your thickness of the software to that new measure. Now you know how thick that board is. And then it doesn't matter if you try to zero off of here or off of here. But the ramifications from between the difference is if you do go off the surface of the spoil board and the thickness of your material, you're doing carving on top and it's not level, it's gonna look bad. It's just gonna look bad, especially with
Yeah.
V carves.
Yeah, especially with a V carve, and especially if you're doing any type of like fine detail, like say you're carving it like 0.07 or something like that, or even shallower. I normally don't carve like less than 0 point or 0.07, but when I do, if you are doing V carve, it'll look like crap. Um, okay, so here is a really fun question. I love
Yeah.
this. We get to talk to Mr. Ralph here. So the table, for those of you who do not know, I have been asked by Mr. Garrett here if I would build him an epoxy resin river table, which I've never done one before, but I have watched thousands of YouTube videos and I've worked with epoxy for a very extended period of time now, so I have quite a bit of knowledge in my tool belt. But Garrett is actually coming up here to my house on Saturday, and we are actually going to pour the table. So I finished all of the sanding on it because he actually, when he said, how like in true CNC fashion here, all of us like to find the most complicated project that we can find, and we do that first. That's just true CNC fashion. I mean, we all want to like do like a 3D carve and we can't even run into a profile toolpath. I mean, let's just be honest. So he said, I want a transparent epoxy. And I said, okay. So it's been a little bit of a challenge for me because we're working with this beautiful maple wood, which is light. But I had a lot. So the trick with working with transparent epoxy, I want to go on a little sidebar here, is that when you do that, you see every single scratch, dark spot, something, 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 something. So it's light wood and it's transparent. So I have like a double whammy of making sure that this wood is like perfect. And like there's no like big heavy scratch marks, there's no grinder marks. Like in a lot of tables, yeah, they'll sand off the top and makes it all look good. And then they pour in that resin in the middle and it's dark and pigmented and all that stuff. So all those little like grinder marks where they took the bark off and all that kind of stuff off, that's not really um, it's not really relevant to make sure it looks all smooth. So I had a big task. But like I said, Garrett's come up Saturday and we're going to pour it. And I was actually thinking as I was sanding today, um, we're going to shoot the rest of the video for the YouTube video that I've been shooting all along to show you guys step by step by step by step of how to make one of these bad boys by yourself. But I had a question. Should we do it live Like we can have 2 cameras
Ooh.
running where we could do like shooting the content for the video and then like a second tripod where like Garrett and I are doing like a live. What do you
Ooh. Put a
think?
yes
You think
or
it would be
no in the comments.
just put live if you like the idea. I thought that that would be like really cool because then you guys could like see just like what's going on, you
That
know,
would be
how to like
fun.
mix the epoxy because it's going to be like, y'all, I ain't gonna lie. Like here you go. Here's all the epoxy. There's 18
Yeah,
gallons.
you have no much I paid Kate for that epoxy either. Dang, that'll pay some people's house payments.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that might be kind of fun. Saturday, we haven't decided what time he's coming up yet. He's bringing his grandkids and they're going to hang out with my kids. So, I don't know. I'm just like super pumped, but I thought the live would be kind of cool to just like,
Yeah.
you know, because we're going to be mixing up a lot of epoxy, pouring. You know, we can kind of talk about the process a little bit beforehand. I don't know. I just think it'd be kind
And
of fun to
as an
do.
epoxy dummy, I can ask the questions that epoxy dummies would ask, right? And then that's the best way. It's the best way.
Yeah. And then we can
I was
include all of you guys in that.
yeah. Yeah. I'm getting ready to put together a course, a CNC course, and I pulled Julian in and I said, Julian, pretend that you are just stepping into a CNC router store and you just want a machine, but you know nothing about it. What are you going to ask me?
At deer in headlights.
It was a brilliant way to get questions from the perspective of that. So it
Yeah.
is coming up around 9 o'clock. So we have a pile of questions. So questions that are coming in after 9, we will not be able to get to. So we do apologize.
Yeah. So you've got about 4 minutes before you can squeak in your last questions if we can. Just for frame of reference, we have about 24 questions so far, so that we need to answer. All right, so let's try to rock and roll through some of these. Oh, so we've got Laser 314. Hello, friend. Welcome back to the show.
Whoa.
Can the Makita handle the 1.5-inch surfacing bit? I would use it only for surfacing the spoil board and only the 1-inch for projects. All right, I'm going to knock this out really quickly. Absolutely, you can use the Makita. I actually run the Makita trim router on my Onefinity Journeyman X50, and I use the 1.5-inch surfacing bit for everything. I have both. I personally, what I like to do is I actually like to lower the step over. I think it's at like 80% by default, but I actually will lower it down to about 65, and I feel like I get a really nice, clean surface. I mean, it may add, you know, like an extra 40 seconds or something on there, but when the time's that small, I mean, who's really counting? But I have 2 huge walnut address signs that I've been working on, and I surfaced both of those, and I think it took them 3 minutes apiece. So don't be afraid to use that bad boy. It can 100% handle it, because I think it's only running about, what, like 10,000 RPMs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one thing to note though is you can't take out 1/4 of an inch with the Makita router, right?
Yep.
0.07 is what I have said is the max depth you should go per pass if you're using a Makita.
Yeah. And I
'Cause
actually do about 0.03 is what I do.
yeah, if you try to
So,
take too much out, what's going to happen is you're going to stall the router. It's
mhm.
too much work being applied.
Yeah. And like I said,
I'm gonna
both of my big walnut pieces, I do 0.03. And like I said, I mean, it takes 2 to 3 minutes, and that was like 2 passes. So
it saves so much time just having that extra half inch on that tool.
it's crazy, but you know, I really like it. And when I'm surfacing bigger signs, yeah, it makes all the difference.
Yeah. Mark answered the question, right? You said, so just to spread this whole idea out about the text, can you put text in? So what Mark said is, yes, you can copy text and put text in any field that will accept text. So if you are actually trying to copy text from another document into creating text in like to carve the text in the text block that would show up on the left side of the screen, right? When you're doing in the
Yeah.
text function, you can copy and paste any text you want into that thing.
I was thinking about that earlier, but I didn't know if that would work, like copying it from. I didn't know if there was like a character count, like if you could, you know how like you could only put so many characters in there. So if the document had, 1,000, if the text box would only take 100.
Right. I don't know. It's a good
That's what
question.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But
And then there's another statement from Facebook user. So Facebook user, just so you know, down below your Facebook screen is there's a little button that says allow StreamYard to see who you are, and then it'll pop up with your whatever your name you've got in Facebook. Better to come over to the IDC Woodcraft channel or Rise and Shine's Wood channel, and we communicate there. That's where most people are hanging out at. Okay, there we go.
yeah. All right. So we've got.
I didn't make the statement. Hold on, I'm going to pop that one back
that's
in.
right.
They said something. Yeah, it was my fault. I dropped. I finished. They were talking about, can you edit the G code file, text file? So they were understanding something else. So yeah, the G code file you can edit all you want. If you need to slow the feed down or something, or change the tool, then you can do it right in the G code file. Okay, Kate, bring it up.
All right. Let's see. We've got Matthew here. Good day again. From Matt in Perth, Western Australia. Second time on the live. Welcome back, friend.
Yes.
We love having new friends hanging out with us. All right.
Oh,
all right.
Everybody's saying do Saturday live.
Saturday live. Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. I think that's what we'll do then.
All right.
All right.
We don't have a time yet, though.
No, we don't have a time. We'll get together. We'll publish a time so that way you guys can know where to be for that.
No, I lost that question.
Oh no, where did it go?
Unstart it. Julian, can you bring that one back in, please? There's one above two elms, and while she's doing that, two elms. Thank you. Someone else who has contributed to saying thank you with a money gift, right? $20. So
very nice.
two elms.
Thank you.
Yes.
They said, "Don't we all deserve to make money? You earned it." Aw, that's so nice.
And yes. What a statement. What a statement. Right? We all do deserve to make money. Right? We all do. Here's an honest statement. I didn't plan myself very well for retirement. I had to do something. Right? And just like there are creators out there that are doing it because they have to do it. Right? So that's why we're here. That's why Kate and I did the mentoring sessions live, right? So it helps you get in the right mindset for business. All right. Thank you very much for the contribution. So, yes, Julian, it was above 8:15. The question above that one.
All right. So I think this might have been directed. This question, I saw this kind of in the live feed a little bit here. It says, anyone use an open builds controller? So maybe someone out there in the comments.
That. Hopefully some people have answered that.
Yeah. All right. So
Kate has a Onefinity. I have a Long Mill and a Phantom.
There you go. All right. So Jake here, he says, I bought the roundover set from IDC. What will be the best way to use these bits? I use VCarve Pro for design software.
Okay.
I really like to use the roundover bits. It's actually called an edge rounding bit. And I like to use that when I'm doing any type of plaque or just like any type of sign that I want like a nice bevel on. Essentially, it's a roundover bit, but it kind of comes to a point and it kind of comes up and then kind of dips down a little bit. But I really like to use those. I don't normally cut full depth on those. Like I said, normally it's like between 0.07 and 0.09 that I like to work with when carving those. I mean, they do have the option to kind of plunge all the way down in and give you like a really unique look all the way around the side. But I just like to use them for, instead of getting out my trim router and having to manually do that. I just change the bit, run an extra toolpath, and use my CNC for it, and it's a lot nicer. So
Well,
that's what
I'm
I do.
glad you mentioned that. That was a good answer, Kate. Thank you. I'm glad you
Yeah.
mentioned about you can actually go deeper, right? Like she said, roundovers are meant to
Do you have one?
give you a nice rounded cut
Here.
around the board there. Yeah, it gives you a nice rounded cut around. Oh, she's going to get a project where she's done it, and it
Oh,
adds a nice accent. Oh, you know. Okay.
no, I don't have the project, but this is what the bit looks like. If anybody's curious, what it looks like. So that's why I was saying, like, you can take this. You can take
I'll
this
pop it
all
up
the
on
way.
the screen.
What's that?
Go ahead. I'll pop it up from the website.
Oh, okay. But you can take this bit deeper all the way down into the material, or you can just use like the tip of the bit down here and then you just get a little bit of that bevel, so that if you take your calipers to it, I can't remember the dimensions of to use just enough to get that bevel on there, but that's exactly the same idea. But you just don't have the bearing on top. So that's what makes this a CNC bit and not a traditional roundover bit.
Right. Yeah, maybe I need to change the name on that. But that's what the bit looks like right there.
Yeah.
And it can cut all the way up to the upper edge of that blade. So she was talking about that nice. It's got a round to it, but then you can also go deeper and cut that straight edge on it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really cool bit. It's just another tool in the arsenal. I mean, work smart, not hard. All right, let's see. Hi, Miss Cheryl. I have not seen you on here before. Says,
Oh,
question, what is the best router to use? I have Burr. I might need a little more context on this question.
yeah. We can go into the thing, see the timestamp 2018 or 818.
Yeah.
And see if she finished that up. I have to go quite a ways back.
Okay. Julian's shaking her head. No, she didn't.
Oh, she didn't. Okay. We'll need more context on that then.
Yeah, sorry, Cheryl. If you're in the women's group over on Facebook, the Women Who CNC, be sure to post your full question in there, and then we'll try to get your question answered for you. So,
that's
right.
the Facebook group that Kate runs.
Yep.
And it's
You got
very
it.
successful. It's very successful for the women who are in this space.
Yeah, it's growing every day. I'm so excited to see more and more people getting in there. I saw a question from Jack. He said, "What are you drinking in your cup?"
Bourbon, baby. He's talking about the IDC Woodcraft coffee mug. What? Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! I love that. I love the women of CNC. Kate and I went back and forth for quite some time coming up with that logo.
It was painful. It was painful. By the way, if you see, no, oh, over here, I can't. Everything's always backwards in these cameras. It makes me crazy.
Yeah.
So this is the sign that I did. By the way, the ladies who are on the live tonight, I want to make a quick note. I'm actually going to be posting. You're going to have the chance to earn a sweatshirt, and then there's going to be a chance to earn a hat for the second runner-up. And I haven't come up with a third prize for the third place yet, but you guys are in advance notice if you're on this live tonight. Making the Women Who CNC logo for your shop and hanging it up. The most creative logo is going to win a sweatshirt of your choice off the website. Second place will get a hat, and third place, maybe a coffee cup. I'm not sure. There might be some other fun stuff in there, but I think we're going to do a fun contest just to kind of keep things interesting. So I'm kind of excited, but the files are linked in the group. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the live and the training there. Okay. So let's, all right, so let's pop in a question here from Norman. He says, how about using CA glue, but then pressing your board down to the spoil board?
I think that's when you got the twist or the warp.
Yeah, I think so.
if it's a very mild twist in the board, I wouldn't mind doing that. But remember, that's going to bounce back when you're done carving, right? And then you're going to have a board that's lopsided when it's hanging against the wall. One other thing to take in mind, when you're carving wood and you're removing a lot of material, you're changing the stresses in the material. So if you do a lot of pocketing, that board may go like that because you're taking out a lot of the stress of the material, removing material. So it may change its shape.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So Michael, he says, a friend sent me an STL, but the vectors were not connected. Okay, so STL file is usually your 3D files. They can have vectors within them. If you have not used, if your vectors are not connected, you might try using the join form tool. Like select which one you want. You can hold down shift and then click and select which vectors you want. And then within Vectric on the bottom row, I think it's like right above the offset tool, you can select join form and see if those will connect it. Because grouping will not join your vectors, and then when you go to carve it, you'll keep getting that error message saying grouping is not joining the vectors. So hopefully that helps. I'm sorry if it's not.
The STL file is like, part of the 3D model type of thing. So I'm not sure if there's open. I don't know. I can't say, but that doesn't sound right.
I'm just thinking if there were if maybe he did a boundary or something around one of the models, and then maybe that boundary got broken up somehow. I don't know.
Could be. But here's another thing where we're talking today. Got to dive into the 3D modeling, right?
Yes, I'm getting quite a few students who are interested in 3D modeling. So I'm having to buff up my 3D skills, if you will.
Right.
Oh, okay. So let's see. So Hope, hello, Hope.
Hope.
Question.
Join Women Who CNC group, Facebook group. For the ladies who are on here, Kate has a group specifically for women. It's women only, Women Who CNC, right? Just because women communicate and think differently than us guys, right? So and so that's why she started that group. So make sure you sign up. Women Who CNC.
Yep, over on Facebook. Oh, I want to make a quick note. We'll probably go over a few minutes here, but we also now have an Instagram page, and we have a YouTube channel, which is really cool. I'm going to start doing all kinds of cool stuff with that. I'm actually going to be interviewing other women makers, and we're going to be posting on that channel, celebrating other women, and just do all kinds of interviews and learn different techniques and stuff like that for women that are in our group, and it's just going to grow.
Yeah, and ladies, I got to say, I did a video with Joe. We did it on Zoom, and I said, Joe, do you mind if we record this and post it on the channel? He said, sure. And Joe Lazar, the guy we talked to, and that back then he didn't know anything, and so I thought that was a beautiful opportunity to have someone who's going to ask the questions that a brand new person is going to be asking, right? And it has paid off in dividends because so many people have said, thank you so much for putting this video up.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And that's exactly what I want to do with the women, because sometimes it's just a different language, and sometimes it's a different audience in general. You attract different people, I attract different people, but together we can collectively help a lot of people, and that's kind of the end goal here. So okay. Sorry, I've been like super chatty tonight. My adrenaline must have kicked up or something. All right. What type of bit can you use on a solid surface?
Well, everything we do is a solid surface. Would you take this as metal or rock?
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe like concrete or something other than wood.
All right. So that's a fairly loaded question. A video I need to do. right? So if you're doing something like granite or something like that, you need to, either an engraving tool or you need a diamond cutter, right? If you're going to engraving tool, a diamond tipped engraving tool, I got those on IDC Woodcraft. That is going to engrave on stone, right? But you have to be very careful. That stone's got to be flat, otherwise it's going to break the diamonds off, right? And so when it comes to stone and things like that, then you want to use a diamond embedded bit, which I do not carry, although I am looking at to carry.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, this is a good question. So Roger, hello.
Hi, Roger.
I'm not sure if you are Mark, but it has been indicated that to use thin CA glue for holding material on the CNC. What is the reason? For me, thin is like water and runs everywhere.
I know Mark answered this question. He stated a comment in there. He said he doesn't use thin for mounting material. I'm just going to pop Mark's statement in because it's right below the question.
Oh,
perfect. He doesn't use thin CA glue. I do. But you're right. The thin CA glue does squirts out really quick, really fast. Yeah, and if you're not careful, I've had it get on a spoil board, and it rips the spoil board out with it.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Oh, I hid both of those. Sorry about that.
No, that's
All
okay.
right.
Just bring them back in. And what did we finish the question?
Yes. Well, this is a different question. This is from Kelly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's a different one, so I'll hide that.
No,
But yes, he said, was there a reason for you doing that? Was there a reason for using thin?
yeah, it's just fast. It sets super fast. Literally within 4 seconds, it's set if you use the accelerator.
Yeah, that's almost one thing that drives me crazy about some of the CA glues is that if I'm not like in a mad panic rush for it to dry, because everybody has like a grid, or most people have grids on their spoil boards, and then you're trying to get like that piece lined up with the CA glue, and then sometimes you're almost like, crap, it dried too fast, and then you have to there's been a couple of times I've had to rip it back up and reset it down. So sometimes I just like to use the glue and then kind of hold it because it dries within like 30 seconds. So I don't know. Just
yeah. And I've got a discount code for the CA glue for the Star Bond.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
I
I got
might
a
even
link
hit you up
to
on
it.
that.
Yeah, an affiliate link and a discount code, 10% discount code.
Okay, cool.
You can find that in any of the standard videos that I have out. Or you can email me and we'll send it to you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if there's any products that I ever mention in a live, you can find them all over on womenwhocnc.com under the links and discounts. There's all kinds of all the products that I use. So if you ever hear me talk about something, you can go over there and find all of the links and discounts that you want. Speaking of links and discounts, we should take a moment and mention Kyle's course and Nate's course. So Kyle Eli at learnyourcnc.com has a fantastic course. It takes, it's entirely Vectric based. It runs all the way from beginner to 3D modeling and Aspire, or anything related to Aspire. So he has a great course. I would highly recommend that you do that if you're interested in purchasing a course. I believe he has 2 different levels that you can look at, but if you're really wanting to invest in your knowledge, I would highly recommend that you do that. Do you want to tell him a little bit about Nate?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to top this off with what you said about Kyle. So Kyle's course, he teaches, he's got the only Vectric course out there, and it's for Cut 2D, the VCarve, and the Aspire. And we've all invested in our equipment. We've invested in our tooling. We've invested in our shops, whatever. We've spent thousands of dollars, and we're not willing. We have to be willing to invest in our knowledge, right? Guys like me is like, I don't need that. I'll just figure the software out, and you just can't do it that way, right? It's like getting one-on-ones from Kate. In the link in the description of the video, there are links, right? And to Kyle's course. But there's also a link to one-on-one with Kate. Why do I say get a one-on-one with Kate? Is because you have no idea how much more in that hour you come away with. You ask one question, but you come away with a mountain of knowledge, right? And you don't realize it until you actually get a one-on-one. So
Yeah.
if you're stuck on something, you want some advice, you want some training, Kate will do it personally with you, right?
Yeah.
But to get the whole thing, get Kyle's course. That's linked down below. Epoxy is the next natural evolution in our CNC journey to start making epoxy signs. And there's lots of questions out there. Kate's really, really good with epoxy, so she can help you out in a one-on-one with that as well. There's Nate Woods. Nate Woods, we had a live with him 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And
2 or 3.
Maybe 4 weeks, whatever. But
I can't remember what I had yesterday for lunch, let alone what I did 3 weeks ago.
That guy's epoxy knowledge is through the roof, right? And so he has a course. I don't think I've got it linked down in this description. I'll make sure from now on I will link it in the description of these videos. Julian, please remind me to put that link in this description. She's got access to the channel. She can just plug it right in.
Well, that's true. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Julian has the power to destroy my life right now. That's how good she does.
All right, let's pop in a few more questions here. So we've got a good question from Cheryl. She says, what is the best router to use? I've had 2 new DeWalt 1.25 horsepower fail in the last couple of weeks. I mostly carve relief. I'm not sure. I mean, I like I use the Makita router for my CNC. That is what most CNCers use for running a CNC. Now, we'll tell you on Makita's website, they are not meant to be used for CNC. I'm on about my 3rd one in 2 years, but I also carve every day, religiously, every day, doing something. I can't attest to the DeWalt, what they do, but if you're putting a DeWalt in your CNC, that could be the reason that they're not holding up. I would suggest the Makita, but I'm not sure when she says I carve relief. I'm not sure. I mean, I know there's like
that may be like pocket cuts.
Like a top, like a woodworking type.
Yeah, 2 things on the
relief
2
carving.
things on the router. Yeah. If you put it in hard words, pocketing, I believe, is what that is. So two more things. The Makita is 1.5 horsepower as opposed to 1.25 horsepower. The Makita trim router. The other thing is the size, the diameter of the body. The Makitas are 65 millimeters. You want to make sure your DeWalt is 65 millimeters, or you'll have to get another bracket to adopt whatever you put in. At the end of the day, the CNC router companies, the trim routers, they, like Kate said, they don't say these should be used for CNC. They're the type of motors that they're not really designed for long-term operation, and that's why they burn out a lot. So
yes,
just words of wisdom.
Yeah. All right. All right. Oh, we got a long one from Mr. Kelly.
Yeah. Hi, Kelly.
Is there a font or way to use any font to just cut out the letters using a simple cut? Most fonts have 2 lines that a V-carve toolpath will cut between those 2 lines, making the cut wider than I'd like. Sometimes I just want to cut the center of the font to be a certain depth without cutting to the full width. Is that possible? Okay, first part. Is there a font or a way to use any font to just cut the letters out using a single cut? So the way I read that is probably any type of an Arial font. That's going to be, that's going to be very straight. There are a lot of fonts that you can use that will give you just really clean, crisp lines. This is an address sign that I just finished. Well, it's not sealed yet, but so this says like Life is Music, and this is an Arial font here. This is a blended font, but like very simple, you know, any types of fonts you can work with that. I would check out use either like Garrett sent out, I think, an email for the insiders list, 1001fonts.com. I like to use dafont.com. It's DAFONT.com. You can look that up, and then you can also just simply download and install. You download the fonts, and then once it's downloaded, you open the file and you have to install the font. The biggest thing about that is you do have to restart your Vectric program after you download fonts. So don't download like one and expect it to be there. Maybe pick like 4 or 5, download those, restart your Vectric, and then they'll all populate in there. Little trick about fonts I've used over the years is make sure to write that font name down, so then that way you can go and find it, because sometimes you think it's not there and then you look for the name and you're like, oh, there it is. Okay, let's see.
We still have 17 questions.
Sometimes I just want to cut the center of a font to a certain depth without cutting to the full width. So I would do I would just do a flat depth, maybe like 0.07, 0.09, if you're just looking to get a particular part of the font. The other thing you can do would maybe do some node editing. Then that way you could just, get the exact particular part of the font that you want. So do you think that answered the question?
Yeah. The fonts are kind of fun. If you want to cut them out, like Kate said, the bolder the fonts, the better, the easier, the boxier the fonts. When you get into those really fine lines, it gets really hard to cut them out without breaking them.
Yeah.
And you have to use finer router bits, and you have to use shallower depths of cuts around those and still pray that it doesn't break.
Yeah. Mark had a great comment. He said, look into single line fonts instead of true type fonts. Yes, that's great advice, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Great advice. And if you don't know the difference, that's a great Google search for after the show's over. You can learn a little bit about that. All right. Let's see here. All right. Mark Tracy. Question for Kate. Did you mention a few weeks ago about getting a sandblaster? If so, what would be your plans? What would be your plans to make product with it? So Mark, no, I did not buy a sandblaster. I've really thought about getting one, simply because I do a lot of carving like this. But sometimes I don't always use walnut. I use a lot of different woods, and some of them are like cedar that are, it's just sandblasting. You just literally stick the sign in, you put your little hands in, and you just blast it, and it literally just takes all of that sanding off, because basically you're hitting the wood with fine with sand. I mean, have you ever been to the beach on a windy day? When you get hit with the wind, it literally feels like 5,000 little grains of bullets are hitting your skin, and that's exactly what that sandblaster does to the wood, and it gets rid of all the extra added sanding time for the little nooks and crannies and things like that. Like, sanding, if this was, I mean, this is a 3D carve, but if this had to be sanded in between here, I could use a sandblaster and it would be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, you're not getting one, right?
Not right now. I have my eyes on other toys currently.
Okay. That's what us CNC creators do. We're always putting our eyes on toys.
Let's see here. All right, we got a Facebook user. Just bought my laser to attach to my long mill. Do you buy a special bed for it?
The answer is no. Yeah, I don't have a special bed for my long mill. I got the laser. Sorry, Kate, I jumped on that.
No, please.
Yeah. I haven't used the laser in a long time, but I don't cut with that laser. It's a diode. It's a 7-watt laser, so it takes a while to cut through stuff if you're trying to get anything like
Oh God,
over
it would take.
16 or the 32nd of an inch. You're going past that, you're losing it.
Yeah. So I will maybe help you with a little bit. So I actually have a 7-watt and a 24-watt from J-Tech that I attached to my Onefinity. I really like. I will say I bought a, have you ever, so like, you know, like your back door, like screen patio door, and they have those like grates that you can buy to like for when people push on them so you don't push through the screen door. It's like a metal plate. I have one of those, and I put like pieces, like a piece of a 2x4 on each corner, and I raise it up, and then I'll put my material on that. If you're cutting through something, like if I'm cutting through with my 24-watt laser, you have to have air underneath it. Otherwise, you're going to create a huge issues for yourself. So always make sure your projects are raised up and you have some type of something to put underneath it. But that's what I found. I don't know if it was in what kind of group it was.
Yeah, good thing for sharing that, because a laser is burning through. It's doing it through heat, and if you've got something down on the spoil board, and then you're trying to cut through it, right? You're just plowing that heat underneath an insulated surface. That's one way to start a CNC fire. So my answer before was absolutely incorrect when I said no, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah. And you know, if you got some kind of fireproof material underneath that, then you don't ever want to leave a laser alone that's cutting. It is throwing heat. It's throwing sparks.
So this, I have 2 of them. I think it came in a 2-pack. I ordered them on Amazon. Anyway, this is what it looks like. It's those little grates like you could mount to your door. And then that way when the kids and the dogs run out, they're pushing on this and not on the screen door. But this is what it was. I think it was like, it says screen and storm door grill. That's the name of it. And then I lay it down on my spoil board, and I put 2x4s underneath it, and then my project on top of it. And it's nice and big, so you have plenty of room to work with.
I'm looking for it right now. Okay, I found it. I'm going to throw a link in the description or in the comments section.
Can't touch anything in my shop.
Once my computer catches up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's such a quick and easy and dirty solution.
It really is. And it's metal. It's not going to catch fire. I don't have to worry about, doing anything. And usually the board that I'm cutting is, usually flush. So it just sits on there. It's nice and easy.
Yep. I just put it in there and in the comments. So
beautiful.
Okay.
All right. I want to make a quick shout out here to Steve Kirkland for making a donation. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, very nice. All right.
It's always appreciated, the donations. It's the way that people say it's saying thank you, right?
Yes, absolutely. Very much appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, this might be a good question for you. Have you used powder-coated color to V-carve projects?
No, I have not.
I have not either. Maybe somebody can help out Terry Lee Bailey here. Hopefully that might get some answers for that person. All right. Ooh. Okay, let's see. All right. Got a question here from Vortex. It says, I have a Christmas project I am doing for my brother. I'm using a photo of the patch of his fire department insignia. I have to draw most of it by hand. I'm having problems with. I'm thinking there's probably more to that question. Julianne, is there a way you can find the rest of Vortex's question at 8:30? So I will tell
As
you.
far as the
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say there's something about someone was trying to get the insiders and the link wasn't working, so I'll pop it into the insiders list. I will pop that into the comment section in just a moment. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay. He says, "Would I use a profile to cut this out? Would I use a profile toolpath to cut this out? To cut it out, yes. If you're just doing outline of the badge, yes, you would want to do a profile cut to cut it out. I actually just had, by the way, I want to put this out there. If anyone is looking for someone who needs a custom STL built 3D carving for you, I have a gentleman that does absolutely the beautiful work. I worked with him. He's been absolutely fantastic to work with. So reach out, let me know, shoot me an email if you need somebody like that. I'd be happy to put you in touch with him. But what I was going to say about this question is, when he was doing the fire department insignia, I actually had a police badge built by my 3D designer, and he did fantastic job of designing this and doing a 3D STL. Okay.
You know, speaking of that, I just thought of something. My the guys that have set up my Amazon, so I pay them to manage my Amazon account and set the store up. For those of you who are on Etsy or want to get on Etsy or get on Amazon Homemade, they have said if I know anybody in in the CNC world that wants to have that set up, then they will do it. You contact me and then we'll put you in contact with them. It is a fee paid service, right? Because you're buying the skill to get you set up. But just wanted to let you know. All right, and Julian, I am not finding a link to the CNC Insiders since Julian has organized my page, and now I can't make sense of it because it's not messy.
It's Einstein's philosophy with Garrett. That's how.
Right. So Julian will find it. She'll pop it into the description, the comment section.
Okay. This is okay, so this was the same question over and over, or it looks like repeated. So Emmanuel, how can you adjust your start depth when you do a profile cut after clearing much of the material? I hate seeing my spindle clear air. LOL. Yes. So do you want to take this one, or are you working on something over there?
No, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
So we went over here, and let's just say you're doing a pocket cut. Up in the top, it says your start depth right there. So if you've done a bunch of work, you've cut down 1/2 of an inch, then you simply, for your next tool path, you set the start depth at 1/2 of an inch, where the last one left off. And that way, so it's a very first number where it says start depth, right? Now, the thing to remember is let's say your material is 3/4 of an inch thick and you're starting at a 1/2 inch in, your cut depth needs to be 1/4 of an inch. That's what's left that it's going to be cutting out. Does that make sense? Very important tip. If you say your start depth is 0.5 and then you set your cut depth to 0.75, it's actually going to cut 1.25 down into your material, or it's going to basically another 1/2 inch into your spoil board.
Yes.
So your start depth plus your cut depth should equal the thickness of the material if you're cutting it out.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah. I like to work in whole numbers when teaching this. So let's say I can't remember, let's say your cut depth is let's say your cut depth is an inch thick, and you want to you've pocketed down. You pocketed down here. Actually, this was a great little indicator. I used this in one of my sessions when I was explaining it earlier. So let's say you have your pocket and you've carved all the way down, right? And your cut depth, you've now reached down here, and then you want to inscribe something inside of this. So you would come down. So let's say you came down to that 0.5 level. You'd want to come down to 0.5, and then you could add on your so your start depth. My brain's tired. Your cut depth would be the 0.5. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then you would your start depth would be 0.5 because you're bringing it back down to that point, and then your cut depth would be whatever you want to carve it in. So if you want to carve in like a heart or something, and you want to carve it in at 0.09, that's when you would want to, that's what your cut depth would be, because that's what you're telling the bit to drive further down into the wood to carve whatever you want to carve at that appointed depth. But the other thing you want to make note of is you also want to make sure that your Z clearance height is high enough to come back up out of your material and over. So when you're pocketing out, you're not like coming back here and like running into the side of your material and taking out part of your bowl or your pocket or whatever. And that's done under material setup. So I'm sorry if I probably totally screwed that up. Everybody's probably like, what? But I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'm brain dead at this point in the day. It's 9:45 here.
So, yeah.
Okay, Emmanuel, if we did not get that clear, shoot me an email and I will help you understand it. I will
Make a video on it, Kate. Make a video on it.
There you go.
Because I had the same confusion when I first started too.
Yeah.
I know I've got a video on it, but
yeah, that is a very good video. Okay. Okay, so that was the same question.
Yeah.
Jen, hey girl. She says, question, using the hog to do a profile cut and 1-inch material, I'm only doing 0.25 per pass, 100 inches per minute, 15K on the spindle. I don't get chips closer to dust. The end of the bit is looking burnt. I've tried 12K to 20K. Help.
Okay. The hog is a funny little animal. So you're doing it a 1/4 inch. If it's looking burnt, you've already started to compromise the tip of the material. Right, it's already getting heated up. So the hog is designed to run quite quickly. If you are running at 20,000 RPMs, right, you're probably overdoing it at the feed rate. You're doing 100 inches per minute. So that's pretty good. At 15K on the spindle, that actually is not so bad.
Yeah,
Jen, I'm wondering what the material is that you're using. But if a router bit is getting dark, that means that it is doing more rubbing than it is cutting. All right. The hog is going to give you some kind of it should feel like a chunky sand kind of feel. But if any cut is sawdusty, like real powdery, then you're running too slow of a feed rate. Jen, I need to know what kind of material you're cutting, and probably somewhere in your range that has set up like that. 100's a great feed rate for that thing. I don't write, I tell them run it at 80 inches per minute. She's running at 100, so she's ripping through the material.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to pull up. I was looking for one of my files that I saved here. Let's see. Because I just did let's see, I can't remember. Anyway, Jen, I'll get back with you in the group. She says she's cutting cherry.
Cherry, pretty hard wood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at some point that was running slower than it needed to, and that's what started to get it dark. But maybe I'll have to talk to her too. I want to get more info on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Send him an email.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got a question from Wayne here. He says, question to Kate, could you please explain how to chat with you about clip art via text message or email? I know you said I could talk to you somehow, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So Wayne, you can send me an email directly at womenwhocnc@gmail.com. That's really the best way to get in touch with me. If you want to do like an educational lesson, you can sign up over on womenwhocnc.com, or you can go find me over on Garrett's website at idcwoodcraft.com under the Learning Center. It's a one-on-one. You can book there.
It's linked down below in the description of this up in YouTube. So I want to share something on this note about texting and messaging. Sometimes it's really hard to explain things in text, right? And sometimes, we don't know what we don't know, and when we're asking a question, we'll get it and go, "Oh my God, how do I answer this thing in a text?" Sometimes you just can't, right?
No.
And so, and it also is time consuming, right? We want to help in text and email, but sometimes it's very time consuming. I am going to say and strongly suggest set up a one-on-one with her. You will learn so much more in the hour. Not only will you solve your problem, but you'll learn a ton of little tips and tricks, right? It's insane how much you learn in a one-on-one when you're live with somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did it with you. That's how, I did it with you, and it was worth every single penny that I did it with. What was I going to say? By the way, on the one-on-ones, it does not have to be just Vectric training. So don't be afraid if you want to talk like business coaching or mentoring, if you want to talk epoxy, if you just want to bounce some different ideas and get like, hey, I've got this project, how would you do it? I've got this project, how would you tackle this? We can talk anything and everything. It does not have to be Vectric specific. I know that's what it's geared towards because a lot of people need help with Vectric, but for anybody on here tonight, if you want something different than just Vectric, hit me up. I'm happy to help you. If I can't, and you book me and you pay me, I will absolutely refund your money because I'll say I don't know what that is and I don't know how to do that. So
I've done that before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna hold your money hostage. I absolutely want you to be 1000% happy with the time that we spend together. So,
right.
All right, let's see. Norman says, would you release that video to the IDC Woodcraft YouTube channel?
I think he's talking about the video. Kate, you need to make a video on that, right? And I think he's saying, "Oh, would you release that on my channel?" That's entirely up to Kate if she wants to distribute a copy to me, and I can release it there. But that's entirely up to her.
Absolutely. Or Norman, go follow me over on Rise and Shine Wood Signs over on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Subscribe to Kate. Help her out. She's trying to grow a business herself, right?
Yeah.
And this is where she's doing it. So, Rise and Shine Wood Shines.
Okay.
We are getting quite a ways over time, so let's take one more.
I want to see. All right. This is a little bit of an in-depth question, but I'll let you knock this one out. This is from RB Woodworks.
Okay.
Question, is there a way to select several different vectors, say 1/4-inch holes, and change all of them at once to 5/16? They are inside a hexagon vector.
So if you have, I'm not sure I can answer that question. That's a good question. I know you can scale things up, right? But if you got holes that are in the place that you want, you just want to change the size.
Yeah,
I
I
think
believe you can. Just
there is a way you can do that. It's just not coming to me.
I believe it's under the set object size tool. So if you select them all and then you just go back in and adjust the size. So if you pull up Vectric, we'll just do it like really quick. I'll answer a couple other questions while you're doing that. Kate, you have a 150 Journeyman. Would you be upgrading to the new Elite System controller when released? I would love to. I am actually waiting on them to release their trade-in program. So I don't have to buy a whole new one. I can just upgrade my rail and then upgrade my controller. So they just haven't released all the info on that yet. Let's see here. Let's see, John, we've got a question here. Router or spindles? Which do you think is better? Depends on what you're doing, brother. That's a loaded question. Everything I've done and tackled in my 2 years of CNCing I've used a router. So I would love to have a spindle just for time efficiency, more power. Little Tim Taylor there for you.
Yeah. Spindles, people tend to. So at the end of the day, what we said before, trim routers are motors that when they continuously run, they get hotter and hotter and hotter, and they will eventually burn out. Right. At the end of the day, a spindle over a router, if your machine can hold it. Spindles are a little heavier. On that note, I said at the beginning of this thing that I've got a couple things in the pipeline, right? And so for those of you who have the trim routers and you're tired of all the noise, I am working with a company now that has plug and play spindles for these things, right? So, and IDC Woodcraft has a discount for that. CNC Insiders will be the ones that get the discount, right? So you got to sign up to CNC Insiders if you want that discount. But the idea of a plug and play spindle where you don't have to have the tech knowledge, right? That's like cool. I will be doing a video on it. It's I got the spindle coming. It's on its way now. So I had to get the cat out of the bag. Damn it.
Sorry. Cat is out of the bag.
All right, let's do one more and then we are knocking off. I gotta get going. I'm tired.
I know. I do too. Okay, so we did RB Woodworks. We will I will shoot a quick video on this. If you want to check back with my channel later this week, I will have that video posted for you. So I will be sure to knock that out. Okay, so this is looks like Hard Work Woodwork. Oh, I love your channel name. That's so cool. First timer here. Oh, welcome. Very cool.
Oh,
yeah. He says, Shapeoko 4XXL Pro about 3 years ago used Carbide Create and Motion. Is that the only software to use? I don't know with the Shapeoko if you can, I would assume you can use Vectric. I don't know. I'm not in that CNC world, but I would assume you don't have to use Carbide Create. I know if Mark is still hanging around, I'm sure he could probably answer that question for you if somebody else has not.
So for those of you who don't know, Carbide Create and Carbide Motion are Shapeoko. Software is written or has been written for Shapeoko. Shapeoko hired software companies to write that. And they have free versions of the Carbide Create and a paid version of the Carbide Create. Is that the only software to use? No. You can use Carbide Create and you can use G-Sender as your control software, right? You can use Mach 3 or Mach 4.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right.
You can intermix. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead.
This is just one last question here. This is for you. What about Garrett? Did he stop doing one-on-ones?
I did. That's a good question. I did one-on-ones for quite a while, and they were consuming too much time, right? So I had to stop. And but you have to pick your battles. I want to help you in the best way that I can help you. It's the same thing with like Marcus said this, and Kate is on our way to doing this. The best way we can help is by creating content for you. But as far as one-on-ones for me is no, I've stopped doing one-on-ones.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be charging a lot more than Kate.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine. All right.
Great question. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, I just want to put a couple of comments I saw kind of poked out here. Kyle's course is excellent. I'm over at learnyourcnc.com, and if you want a little bit of a taste of Kyle's course, be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, Learn Your CNC, and you can kind of see what you're getting with Kyle's course. So there's a lot of really good comments. If you guys have been kind of keeping up with the comments and everything else talking about Kyle's course, it's pretty too legit to quit. How's that? It's an awesome course.
Yeah. Okay, brothers and sisters, we got a truck. I got a truck. I mean, you want to stay on, Kate, and finish up answering them?
I think we. No, I think we're good. Yeah. No, I think
they're talking about the circles.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we got everybody. We got everybody answered. It's like a Christmas miracle. You're welcome.
Yeah,
we are tired. Can you guys tell our eyes are like we need toothpicks?
Almost 2 hours, but we've had quite a few hanging on too. We still have 100. I don't know what we're up to. How many we're up to, Julian? 200 people, 200 creators. Nod your head.
Yeah, she's going. I don't know.
It's somewhere around there. She wasn't paying attention. I saw it. I know she was paying attention. She's got it. But okay, all right, brothers and sisters.
She's tired too. We're all tired. It's 10 o'clock here in Indiana. It's time for bed.
I'm here finding links for you guys, and you think I'm not paying attention.
I know she's paying attention.
I'm trying to run this chat and these questions here.
She's the lady behind it all making it work.
Hello.
Like Laser 314 said, he said, time to go make some wood chips. Yeah.
Right.
Or as my husband does, snore on logs. So.
All right. Okay,
all right,
brothers
guys.
and sisters, we are checking out. Hasta la vista. See you.